close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
What's going on, guys? I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Welcome to this channel update. Now, I'm sure you're all wondering what this channel update is. Listen, before I get into the channel update, I'm going to give it a few little minutes just in case people want to join. There's 6 of you. Brilliant. Well, thank you for all coming into the chat. But yeah, I hope you're keeping safe and well, Mike. Hope you're well. Let's see who else is in the chat. And this is the last live stream on the channel, and there is a reason for that. Evening to Mike and Joanne. Big up Steve as well in the chat. Right, let's get into the channel update. So, and the reason why I say this is the last live stream, is because there are massive changes coming to this channel. So, where to begin, really? So I'm going to begin right from the beginning. So remember, you guys, and I don't know if there's many of you here that have been with me right from the beginning when I started throwing myself into this YouTube channel. There's not really been many. I don't think there's many of you in the chat that have been here right from the very beginning. But you can go back and look at my beginning videos, and I talk a lot about where this channel is going to go. And I started off just doing Arsenal content. Then I did some other football content, like other watch-alongs, and I branched out a little bit, which is partly why I changed the name from The Blind Gooner to Daniel Bailey TV. And that was all good, and I enjoyed, I've enjoyed every minute of my journey on YouTube. First thing I want to stress, though, I am not going anywhere. This channel is not closing down. So, like, I know you're all thinking, the way I'm talking, is this channel closing down? Absolutely not. This channel is not closing down, but there are going to be some huge changes. So, right back when I started, I planned on doing football content, and I planned on, doing lots and lots of Arsenal watch-alongs, and I planned, on growing the channel and it being a success. But I also had it in the back of my mind. Bear with me 1 second, guys. I'm just going to go and pull the door to, because right, apologies, guys. I had to just go and pull the door to. Right, I'm going to take questions at the very end, but where was I? Yeah, so when I started this channel, I planned on doing lots and lots of Arsenal content, lots and lots of football content. You know, the main reason why I started this channel was because of the success I had on AFTV. You know, with people liking my interviews and people really buying into my footballing opinion. And you know, so when I left AFTV, I found myself really enjoying doing YouTube, but obviously with the way things ended between me and AFTV, I was in a little bit of a quandary. You know, do I try and join somebody else's channel, or do I try and, you know, set up my own channel? So I set up my own channel, and you know, with lots of help from Claude, God rest his soul, I managed to get to where I am today. But a couple of things over the course of 2 years, because I essentially started this in 2020 and we're now in 2022. So over the course of 2 years, maybe 3 years, yeah, it would have been 3 years because we're almost at the end of 2022. A couple of things have become really apparent to me. Firstly, the first thing is there's only a few of you that really buy into what I'm doing in terms of when I do the watch alongs, and you guys know who you are. You know, you're always in here and you're always watching, and I appreciate every single one of you, and I really do. But sadly, it's not sustainable. When you're doing a watch along and you're doing it for 2 hours and you've got only 5 people, 6 people watching, it's not really sustainable. When you've got 30 people watching, when you've got 50 people watching, 60 people, it's sustainable. It's sustainable to the point where you can read the comments and you can keep the watch alongs flowing. The other thing I noticed in doing this is that the football content in terms of YouTube, and certainly because I do it in terms of Arsenal, is very saturated. So, you know, there's great channels out there like Lee Judges, Same Old Arsenal, Dan Potts, you know, obviously AFTV, you know, Lee Gunner, all those guys, brilliant channels, and you know, absolutely fantastic, absolutely brilliant. And sadly, people are going to migrate to those channels. So when it comes to doing football watch-alongs and Arsenal previews and reviews, sure, I'm going to get people watching them, but in terms of growth, I'm not really going to grow. And I've come to that realization. And don't worry, I am going to read your comments. I'm not just going to talk and then end the stream. I'm going to interact with you guys. The reason why I did this live is so that, you know, you guys could give your comments and I could respond to them. But I realized that sadly, with my disability, and it is a factor, as much as you guys in here, and listen, you guys are brilliant, and you say it isn't, but it is. It is a factor because you look at the growth of my channel, and sadly, and you look at the growth of other channels, you know, guys like Lee Judges, and like I say, they're all brilliant channels, absolutely fantastic channels, and you know, they've done an absolute fantastic job. But sadly, I'm not going to grow in the same way unless I make these changes. And I will come on to the changes very shortly, but I just wanted to give you an insight as to my thinking, you know, before I tell you where I'm going with this. So over the course of this year, and you guys know this year that I've been fairly sporadic. And the reason for that is when I've come to do a watch along or a stream, I always have it in the back of my head that not many people's going to watch. So they're not going to miss me if I don't do it. And I've fallen into that trap. I've fallen into that trap of, well, there's only 3 or 4 people watching me, so if I don't do it, I'm not going to be any great loss. People are really not going to miss me, and then I've ended up not doing it, and I felt really bad for that. But it's just the kind of rut that I've got myself into because my channel's not been growing the way I'd like it to, and yes, I'm nearly 2,500 subscribers in, and I appreciate every single one of you that are subscribed and that have stayed subscribed throughout this period of me trying to figure shit out, essentially. And I can't tell you how much that means to me that you've stuck along. And I always knew that I would have difficult spells in this YouTube game. I always knew that doing it, that it was going to be like, peaks and troughs. It was going to be there's going to be some ups, some downs. But I've looked at the way other channels have grown, and they do the same content that I do, watch-alongs, football. I look at the way that they grow, and I look at mine, and I'm like, well, why am I not growing in the same way? And there's several reasons for that. Reason being that the other guys who have grown their channels, they're building off a platform. So when you look at guys like Lee Judges, you look at guys like Curtis, you look at guys like Lee Gunner, they've all grown off of AFTV, and me to a certain extent, but a lesser extent, because I'm doing this on my own. I'm growing, or have been for the last 2 years, growing off my own back. So and off the back of Claude, I had a regular show on Claude's, so I was able to get myself out there. Whereas you look at guys like Lee Judges, they're doing their own channel, but they can showcase their skills and their personalities because they have shows on AFTV. And that's great, because then the guys that like Lee Judges from AFTV will be like, oh, let's go and see if Lee's got his own channel. And they go over. I don't have that. I just have my channel, and seldom do I get invited onto other people's channel. Very, very rarely do I get invited onto other people's channels. So therefore, I'm growing. I'm putting myself out there in terms of content, but not putting myself out there. But the one positive that and you'll understand in a second where I'm going with this. The one positive that I have is that in doing this YouTube, I have discovered a passion for interviewing people. I've discovered a passion. So, you look at my videos, I've had guys like Charles Watts, I've had guys like Kevin Campbell, I've had guys like Fabrizio Romano, and then the regular Arsenal guys, So I've discovered a passion for interviewing people, and I'm finding that I'm really good at it. And I find that those are the shows that people really buy into. The shows with Kevin Campbell, the shows with Fabrizio Romano. People buy into those types of shows. So I've been doing a lot of thinking over the last month and a half since the World Cup, and actually the 2 World Cup watch-alongs that I did, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, and then I think the France-Australia. Those 2 watch-alongs were the final straw in my decision making, because not many people tuned in. There was only about 4 or 5 people, tuning in, live, watching it live. It wasn't a constant flow, and actually it kind of was the icing on the cake to me making the decisions that I've made. But going back to this passion for interviewing people, I discovered that I've discovered two things. The first thing is that this football content is so saturated, and in the niche that I'm in is very kind of saturated, and either I change my niche or I continue to burn myself out. So here's where I'm going with this. I've decided to focus my efforts more on podcasting. So I'm turning this channel, turning the content into a podcast. Because I've realized that, like I said, the football content is so saturated, and listen, there's so many decent channels out there all doing the same thing. I don't think people will miss me if I change my niche to what I'm doing. And the only, I know a lot of people will be going, well, why are you giving us a channel update? Why don't you just do it? And you shouldn't really tell people what you're doing, just do it. But listen, this is how much respect I have for you guys, is that I want to tell you guys what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, because you guys have been with me through the ups, through the downs, and I think you guys deserve that. You guys deserve that. Let me read some of these comments. Big up, Steve RFC. Big up, Sam Wilson. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Big up, Anarin Jones. So yeah, I've decided. So it's kind of been a moment of reckoning, and a kind of moment of reckoning for myself, in the sense that also I do struggle a little bit with reading the live comments out, and if I don't know whether you've noticed this, because of my speech software, I have to listen to the comment and then read it out. And I know that sometimes that puts a lot of people off in terms of when they're watching the lives watch along. So, and that's why when I'm interviewing people, I tend to miss a load of comments out, because I'm so focusing on interviewing people. When you look at guys like Fabrizio and Kevin Campbell and Charles Watts, I'm focused on interviewing, and I forget to read comments. I forget to read super chats because I'm in the zone. Do you know what I mean? So I had a decision to make, and I've been. This is partly why I've been a little bit absent over the last month, is that I had a decision to make. Do I shut the channel down completely, or do I completely revamp my whole content? Now, I've gone with the latter of revamping my whole content, and I've gone to what I'm good at. I've gone to what I'm good at. So with the football content that I've previously done is going to stay up on the channel, because I really enjoy, it's part of my journey. And right now, I've built this channel off the back of that. But going forward, I'm going to be turning this channel into a podcast. So it's going to be more interview based. It's not necessarily going to be football either. It's going to be, I want to interview people. And I've looked at other podcasts that interview sports guys, celebrities, journalists, a mixture. It's going to be that kind of, it's going to be a podcast style based. I'm going to put my own spin on it, because everybody, and I realize, there's a lot of podcasts out there, but I think I will be able to grow, because when you do a podcast, it's it's unique to you. You know, not every podcast is the same. Not every podcast is, you know, even though there's loads of people doing it, every podcast is different with the guests, with how you do the podcast. Whereas this football content, I'm not going to lie to you, everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's doing previews. Everybody's doing reviews. Everybody's doing watch-alongs. And it's, people have their favorites. And it's so hard to grow. And with my disability, I'm going to level with you guys. Sometimes it's hard to, it's very hard to keep up. It's very hard to do the comments and try and keep it flowing with everything going in the background. And I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love doing it. And I think when people are viewing it, that's what's putting people off. You know, if I'm being honest, that's what's putting people off. Yeah. And Aaron, when you say podcast, do you mean a radio station? No, not a radio station. So the best example I can probably give you, big up Salem. So if you've ever watched, so how can I describe what my podcast is going to be like? So if you guys ever watch True Geordie, it's going to be not I don't want to say it's going to be exactly like his podcast, because it's not, because, you know, mine's going to be unique to me and obviously theirs is unique to them, but a similar kind of thing. A similar kind of thing. And so it's going to be kind of that. And there are loads of podcasts out there. You know, you look at True Geordie, you look at, there's another guy that does a really good podcast, but mine's going to be unique to me, and it's going to be the guests. You know, the guests are going to be brilliant. I've already had some brilliant ideas. And the thing is, guys, don't get me wrong, I've really enjoyed doing the football content, but I just think because there's so many people doing it, it's very hard to grow. And listen, you guys, you know, I'd still love it if you guys supported my channel and watched the podcast and really, buy into that. I'd really appreciate it. And for the football stuff, you know, you guys have got, you know, like I've mentioned them, you know, you guys have got Lee Judges, you've got Dan Potts, you've got Curtis, you've got Lee Gunner. You know, you're not going to miss me if I change my niche, if I focus on the areas that I'm good at. And you know, you guys have still got all those watch-alongs and stuff. It's just you won't get them from me. But I've got some brilliant ideas for this podcast. Yeah, there you go. So Joanne's put them in. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Joanne's put some of the podcasts in. But yeah, it's going to be like that. And listen, do you know what? The last year, and this is partly why I changed my channel name from The Blind Gooner to Daniel Bailey TV, because I had a feeling right back then that something like this was probably likely to happen, because you know, guys, I always try and grow, and I always try and keep the content good for you guys. You know, I always try and keep it good for you guys. But, you know, the podcast, ever since I had the idea of doing a podcast, because when I started thinking about how I can improve the channel, and I wasn't completely sure that I was going to drop the football content, because I know you guys like it and I know you guys enjoy that. but it's very difficult to explain. I'm probably not explaining myself very well. So going forward, I'm going to tell you where it's going, and then I'll take questions and comments. And so yeah, going forward, I'm going to be doing a podcast. There's going to be a little break from the channel just while I get everything set up. I've actually got a producer who's actually going to produce for me. My friend who's also visually impaired, but he's very good at editing. He's very good at I've always said over the last 2 years, and certainly over the last year, that sometimes I struggle a bit with the editing, and at the moment it's just very basic. So my friend is gonna do the producing for me. It's gonna be a joint kind of project, this podcast. So we're just gonna be getting things ready, and also the podcast is going to be in person. So like, I've got to get all the equipment. I've got to get all the microphones and the cameras. So it's going to take a little time. It's going to take a little time to kind of set up and to kind of to kind of get it off the ground. So unfortunately, there will be no content for the foreseeable. And I say the foreseeable, it's probably going to be like a month or so that I'm going to be kind of getting things together, because I've got to get all the equipment, then I've got to record the first few episodes. So it'll probably be, I'm looking at February as the launch date for it. But honestly, guys, it's reignited my passion for YouTube, because since I've decided to go down this path, I've been really excited about it. Like I wait, I look forward to doing the YouTube. So look, listen, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, and I hope you guys understand. With my reasoning, with not doing the football content anymore. Listen, there will still be football guests on the podcast. There will be football guests. I will get some, Kevin Campbell. I hope to do an episode with Kev. I hope to do an episode with some other Arsenal legends and other football legends as well. Not just Arsenal. This is the key as well, guys, and I want you guys to understand this. It's not going to be strictly Arsenal based. It's not going to be strictly sports based. It's going to be, I've got some fantastic guests lined up, or in the pipeline that I want to get on. But I can't run before I can walk. So it's going to all take time, but it's going to be brilliant. This podcast, absolutely fantastic. So I hope you guys I hope you guys still support me. And I appreciate everybody who's been with me on this journey over the last 2 years. And I've always said that there may come a time where I have to change what I do on the channel. So Aaron Jones got a question here. He says, what else are you gonna talk about? So the way the podcast is gonna work, and this is the way I want it to work, is I want to, and you're right, Aaron, I'm gonna get footballers on, I'm gonna get cricketers on, I'm gonna get boxers on, because I've got a passion. Do you know what, guys? I've got a real passion for interviewing people, and actually, it gets me excited every time I think about it. It gets me really excited, because I know that I can make a real success of it. And also, I'm not afraid to ask the difficult questions. That's what I want my podcast to be. I want to interview people, but I'm not afraid to ask the difficult questions. So if there's something going on, I'll try, like with the guests that I get on, and there's parts of their lives that they don't really want to talk about. Listen, it's going to be my job to get them to open up. I'm not one of these. You see these interviewers where they just they skirt around the actual question and don't ask it. Whereas me, I want to be completely different. I want to ask those difficult questions. And listen, there might be fireworks. There probably will be, because people don't like answering difficult questions. But that's what's going to make my podcast so exciting. And listen, I'm not going to say too much more on that, because I don't want to give anything away. But I wanted to come on here and just give you guys. I wanted to kind of just listen. I owed it to you guys, absolutely 100%, to let you know what's going on. But listen, the channel is absolutely not closing down, and that was an early decision to make. So when I was deciding what to do with the channel, because I recognized that there needed to be a change, and I've spoken to my friends, my family, and they said, look, just have a think about what you want to do. And then I looked back at my content, and I went through all my videos, and I looked at the ones where I had guests on, like Fabrizio, Charles, and I was like, do you know what? I really enjoy that. But the other thing to note, guys, as well, it's not going to be live. It's all going to be pre-recorded. So I haven't got to worry about, because when I have guys like Charles Watson and Kevin Campbell, I'm still trying to read the comments. So it's not going to be done live. It's going to be done pre-recorded. But the quality of content is going to be better, because I can put more into interviewing. I can, like I said, it's going to be in person. So, I'm going to have the guest in the room with me, which that's going to be nerve-wracking. It's going to be brilliant, guys. It's going to be brilliant. It's going to be fantastic. Because like even now doing this solo, I've been struggling a bit, because I'm not very good at talking off the cuff just by myself. But when I've got questions to ask people, and I can talk to them, and they can talk about their lives, and that's what I want them to be. I want them to talk about their lives, their situations. But yeah, the podcast is going to be brilliant. It's going to be fantastic, guys. I'm really, really excited about it. And on the last couple of watch-alongs, I said that I was thinking of doing a podcast, and it was originally going to go alongside the football content. But in all honesty, guys, this is going to replace the football content. It's going to replace it, because, like I say, the football content is very saturated, especially doing Arsenal stuff. And I realize I've done a lot of stuff already. The football content will stay up on my channel for the time being, because it needs to, because if I take it all down, then I get demonetized, and because I don't have the videos. But once the podcast kicks in and I grow, because I know I will grow, because everybody loves podcasts. And for me, interviewing people is what I'm good at. And I've realized that now, doing the content and experimenting, I realized that interviewing people is what I'm good at. So that's what's going to happen going forward. But yeah, listen, I'm happy to take any questions. But yeah, and Aaron, going back to your point, that's you're right. Boxers, cricketers, famous people. Listen, they're all going to be. I'm going to get them on. Let's have a look. Is there any way you can do live chats in a podcast style? Well, listen, eventually what I want to do is I'm going to, like I say, because I've got my friend who's producing for me as well. What I'm going to do is I will eventually do a live podcast. So what I want to do, and obviously I want to do a podcast that's live, but like where with an audience. Now this is really ambitious, guys. This is really ambitious. But what I eventually want to do, and I'm not going to say too much here because I don't want to give all my ideas away, because I realize I'm on a public platform. But I want to do a live podcast where people can come and watch the podcast live in audience, an audience-based style podcast. But listen, it is, that's way down the line, and I'm being a bit coy with that because, like I said, I don't want to give my ideas away. But I've got lots of ideas in the pipeline. We got Anthony Herbert. Thanks for jumping on, mate. Going for a 2-1 Arsenal West Ham. Yeah, thanks, mate. Will you set it up and ask people to put questions on the community tab, says Joanne. Yeah, so listen, there's going to be interaction. Even though there won't be any live shows, there's going to be interaction. I can't say at this moment what that interaction is going to be because I've got some ideas, but I want to keep it a little bit private at the moment, just because, like I said, I don't want to give too much away, and I don't want to spoil. I don't want to, I've got to keep some stuff to myself. But there is all you guys need to know is there is going to be interaction, and yeah, once definitely I'll get I'll get yeah, there is going to be interaction. Big up Salem, so best of luck, legend, in whatever content you decide to produce from Dubai. Yeah, thank you very much, really appreciate that. You should try and get North Side on at some point. Yeah. And then, yes, and Aaron, I am, and that's one of the reasons why I'm changing, because I do want to do this full time, but I realize the current trend and the current content that I'm doing is not sustainable. So I am going to be, yeah. Isn't your uncle an Arsenal fan? Maybe try and get him on. Yeah, so that's where I'm at, guys, really. That's where I'm at with the channel. And look, I hope you guys understand. I hope you guys listen. There's lots of other. You guys won't miss the football content because you guys have got guys like Curtis, AFTV, Lee Gunner, Lee Judges. So you're not gonna. If I listen, we wouldn't be having this discussion if I was 20,000 subscribers in and I was getting regular people watching. But I realized a couple of things, with my disability, and I realized that I've got to home in on what I'm good at and maybe do less of what I'm not good at or is not successful. I've got to focus on the stuff that's successful, and I've always gone, and I said to you guys, didn't I? I've always gone with a quality over quantity approach. So now it's going to be brilliant, guys. Absolutely brilliant. And I'll even do a podcast where I talk about myself, share some of my thoughts and feelings on different, things going on in the world and different life stuff. And, I'll even do that. But yeah, listen, it's going to be brilliant, guys. Honestly, it really is. But it's been a difficult decision to make. because, you know, like I said earlier, when I started the channel, it was doing Arsenal and football content, and very rarely people jump niches midway through. But I reached a point where it was either make changes or shut the channel down. And I don't really want to shut the channel down, because I'm, you know, and then the more I thought about it, and even now, like the more I think about the podcast and to think about the types of guests I'm going to interview, it excites me. It really does. I feel like I'm getting that passion back, whereas I feel like this year I lost the passion for YouTube a little bit. You know, when I was saying to you guys earlier about, you know, not doing watch-alongs because people won't miss me, I feel like I lost the passion. But ever since I've got this new project with the podcast that I'm working on, I've got the passion back. And listen, it's going to be brilliant, guys. Honestly, you guys won't be disappointed. But yeah, listen, that's what I'm going to that's what I'm going to be working towards going forward. But listen, you guys are a massive help as well, because spreading the word, that'll be the key. If you guys can spread the word, if you guys can spread the word, like I say, I'm looking at February maybe for kicking things off, if I can get everything sorted in time. But I'm working a lot behind the scenes and stuff, so hopefully I can get things up and running by February. But yeah, really excited for this. So stay tuned, guys, because this is going to be brilliant. But listen, guys, that's it for the update, really. I think I've covered everything. And I hope you guys, you guys seem like that in the chat, you guys will be supportive, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, like I said, there's not going to be any content for the next month or so. And the channel is going to be a bit quiet. It will be quiet. But I will be putting updates throughout the month on the community tab, and I will be doing little, teaser videos before the launch date. So there will be teasers and stuff coming, little trailers and stuff. Yeah, listen, hope you all have a wonderful Christmas as well. All enjoy your Christmas and have a happy new year as well. And listen, I'll be in touch in the new year with everybody. Stay tuned in the community tab as well, because there'll be updates in there. And then also I will be dropping little trailers and stuff as like, shorts, so you guys can look forward to the podcast coming. But yeah, the channel name won't be changing either, so that'll be staying the same. And like I say, there'll be no more football content as of now, and it's fully in working towards the podcast mode. But listen, guys, all enjoy the rest of your Christmas. Enjoy your Christmas. Have a happy new year. And if you need to get in touch with me and you want to ask any more questions off stream, check out my socials: Daniel Bailey on Twitter, Daniel Bailey on Facebook, Daniel Bailey TV on YouTube. So feel free to, even if you want to continue this chat on in the comments, I'm quite happy to answer any of your questions. And yeah, that's it for the update. But yeah, I'll leave it there, guys. Take care, and I'll catch you soon.